verse number 36. Avachya vadanshya bahun vadishyanti tavahitaha nindantastav samarthyam tato dukkha taram nukim. Ritu, read.
And your enemies, disparaging your might, will speak many unbecoming words. What can be more distressing than this?
Okay, again and again, he is emphasizing the fact that people will not think well of you. And as a prince from a royal family, as a Kshatriya, that is very, very important for Arjun. Take the meanings. Again, another argument. So, cha and. Tava, your. Ahita, enemies. Hit, someone who does something in your benefit. Ahit, someone that does something against you. So, ahita, your enemies. Nindanta, will defame, will talk badly. Will defame, tava, your. Samarthyam, your might. Your enemies will defame your might. Your enemies will speak badly about your courage. Vadishyanti, they will say, bahun, many. Avachya vadan, harsh words. They will say many bad things, harsh words. No, indeed. Kim, what? Dukkataram, more painful. Tata, than that. What could be more painful than that? Now this is almost a repetition of the earlier verse, you would say. But Bhagwan Krishna is repeating for what reason? He wants you to see it at two levels. One is that Arjun is a warrior and Kshatriya and this and that and all those things which we already just spoken about. But what about us as sadhaks? Let us see the symbolism of this verse for our journey, spiritual journey. Our enemies are who? Our senses, basically. Our enemies are our Gyan Indriyas. Because our senses go out into the world and take us out also. They take our mind out. So they are our enemies. So when a spiritual aspirant, and we're talking about spiritual aspirants, okay, because here we are spiritual aspirants, so we are not talking about general public. General public, their senses are trained to go outwards. The reason why we are here is because we are training our senses, or we are at least trying to understand where our senses are going. And because our senses are going outward, we are feeling dukh. There is only one reason for dukh. And that only one reason for dukh is that our senses are going outward. If we train our senses and restrain our senses from going outward, there will be no dukh in our life. That is a guarantee. So if there is dukh in your life, that means your senses are still taking you outward. So when, as a spiritual aspirant, your senses are going out, because, and why your senses are going out? Why? You are not training. What is training? Sadhana. There is a lapse in your sadhana. There is a gap in your sadhana. There's a weakness in your sadhana. or you're not doing it in the right way, or you're doing the sadhana but you're doing it in a rajasic way, or you're doing it in a tamasic way, or you're doing it as a grudging way, or you're doing it as a burden, or you're doing it as something to do and let's finish off and get on with the rest of the day. If you're doing your sadhanas in any one of these ways, then you're not really doing sadhana. You're doing a chore. You're doing a job. You're not doing sadhana. You're just doing something because now if I don't do, she will tell me now, she'll ask me the next. Don't do, please. I beg of you, don't do for that reason. I'll not ask also. Okay, so when you don't do your sadhana in the right way, your conscience will also be telling you that you are not doing it in the right way. And your conscience means your good qualities will criticize you for that. You will feel somewhere, yeah, I'm really not doing it properly. And what will increase because of that? Guilt,
Negative.
dissatisfaction, frustration,
And the agitation.
agitation, disturbance. So all negative qualities will be coming to the forefront, and they will actually be mocking you, saying, we won, you lost. So as sadhaks, we need to shine one torchlight within. Shining torchlight within means doing strict introspection, doing very honest introspection, taking a stock of your negative tendencies, who are all there waiting to destroy your practice. And when they destroy your practice, they destroy your peace of mind. So if that is happening, if you're shining the torchlight and you're finding that some negative quality, meaning some enemy who is inside me is destroying my peace, then what you have to do? Pick up your weapons. Pick up your weapons. What are your weapons? Sama, Dhamma, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan, and become a warrior and destroy them. Yeah. Sama, Dhamma, Uparama. Meaning restraining of the senses, controlling of the mind, and Uparama, automatically turning away from sense objects. Because sense objects are outside, they attract you. Your senses go there, and along with your senses, your mind also goes there. Without the mind, nothing can happen. So the ability to restrain the senses, the ability to restrain the mind or rein in the mind, and Uparama, when those two become successful, automatically, like the tortoise, when he sees danger coming towards him, he takes his head and limbs under his shell. That is Uparama. Automatically, when you see that you are facing a difficult situation where your sadhana can be waylaid, you will automatically withdraw from that situation. Uparama. For all that you need, it will be uncomfortable. It will be difficult. So Titiksha, the ability to bear that discomfort towards a higher goal. The ability to bear that discomfort. Forbearance. The ability to bear that discomfort of evolving. It's not the discomfort of sitting in the sun. It's not the discomfort of not getting a glass of water. It's not any normal discomfort. It is discomfort in the pursuit of my spiritual goal. And for that, to be able to bear that discomfort, you will need Shraddha, faith. You will need faith in your own ability to do it. You will need faith in your Guru who's telling you to do it. You will need faith in the scriptures from where the Guru is telling you to do it. And you will need faith in God that everything is going in the right direction. Without faith, titiksha will not come. Without titiksha, uparama will not come. And without sama and dama also, uparama cannot come. And then finally, when you have got the faith, you've got the forbearance, you've got all these things under control, you need samadhan, one pointed focus, one pointed concentration, one pointed goal that I need to reach there. My destination, my final destination, my highest goal, my swadharma. These are your weapons. And because we have let those weapons fall in our chariots, like Arjun, chapter 1 ends with his weapons falling down and he also falling down. We are also, some of us, in such conditions where we have also given up. We have also fallen down. We are not picking up our weapons. And that is why we are also in Vishad, depression. But if you fail to pick up your weapons, if you fail to fight this war which you are in, maybe out of laziness, maybe out of procrastination, maybe out of inertia, tamas, maybe out of fear, maybe because your base instincts are so strong, then your evil habits will become your master. And they will at some stage ridicule you because you will be their slave. It doesn't matter how much dukh there is. It doesn't matter if the dukh is pouring down like monsoon in Bombay. It doesn't matter if you are flooded with dukh. Just accept that this difficult situation is that situation which I need to overcome because it has been created by my own karmas. And my only way to get out of this situation is to go through it. I have to keep WALKING walking. Witness it, accept it, let it go. Knowledge will come. You'll understand what is happening. Glad acceptance, not just accept, glad acceptance is required. So, this is always wrongly understood. Oh, I will accept, let all these things happen to me. I am now going to always be flooded with this because I did so much bad things in my past life. So now this karma has come to me. Let me accept it. Okay, gladly, I'll smile also. That is not the meaning of glad acceptance. Glad acceptance means understanding and taking responsibility for the situation in my life. Taking responsibility. And then an equally important part is to do purusharth to come out of it. You cannot say, I accept and my weapons are still down. I accept. Samma, you also stay there. Dhamma also stay there. Titiksha, everything you all stay where they are. This is my fate. This is my poor me. This is what I have to suffer. Arey, I must have been such a bad person in my past life. Oh, I accept that also. No, man. Get up. Get up. Fight. You can't allow inertia to weigh you down like that. And that is exactly what Bhagwan Krishna is trying to make Arjun understand. And through Arjun, is making each and every one of us in this room understand the same thing. There is no one here who is not in a difficult situation. Is there? If there is anyone who has no difficult situation in their life, put their hand up. Nobody's hand is going up. Simran?
Gorgeous.
He also has difficult situation. He wants to play football. His mother's telling him to study. No, I am pulling her leg. Guys, being in Sansar means it's a package deal. It's a package deal. So in Sansar, you cannot only have Sukh. Sukh and Dukh has to come together. It's as ridiculous as saying that I will live in this world and whole day I should only have sun. There should be no night, only daytime. That daytime will feel troublesome for you if there was no night. You cannot, oh, I live in this desert, I wish it was always only cool. No, it cannot be. Sometimes it has to be summer, sometimes it has to be winter. This Sansar has been made that way. In all your machines, there's an on switch and an off switch. Na? You cannot put any machine on only, on, whole time on. And if it's whole time off, it will not work only. Your car also has an ignition switch. It comes on and then if you leave it on fully, like he left on, then battery will go down. You also. So in Sansar, both are there, man. You cannot have just one. And you can actually. You can. I will qualify my statement. If you never want to have Dukh, how many of you never want to have Dukh? Never want to have Dukh? Stop pursuing Sukh. Stop pursuing Sukh. If you stop pursuing Sukh, you will never have Dukh. Because you will be moving your pursuit to a higher level of Anand. So the answer is given to you. You know what you have to do. Forget about Sukh. Just forget about it. Anyway, it's temporary. Right? क्या करने का है with Sukh and Dukh and all? Forget it.
Why you say accept your karma gladly and then you also say do your purushartha. So what exactly do you mean by do your purushartha?
No, I will tell you first what I exactly mean by accept. What I actually mean by accept is accept that it is my own doing. Accept that this is only a result of my past action. In the past, I have gone to this restaurant, I have ordered masala dosa. Now the masala dosa has come to my table. So I have to eat it. I cannot say I cannot eat it. So I gladly accept it however it is made now. It is my masala dosa. It's my karma. I have to, that is gladly accepting it. Now, when I gladly accept it, one shift happens in my mind. Earlier, I would have accepted it maybe, but as a victim of the situation. So it's a passive acceptance. As a passive acceptance, I give the power to the situation to keep pushing me, to keep pressing my buttons. So at some stage, I feel I can do nothing about this. And I have painted myself into one small corner. The situation has continuously pushed, and I have kept being pushed backwards. At any time, I can fall exhausted from this situation. People who feel suffocated, people who feel stifled, people who feel frustrated, people who feel depressed with the goings on in their life, they have allowed themselves to be pushed into a corner as a victim of the situation. That is not the acceptance we are talking about. Another possibility of a difficult situation is to resist it. Why is this happening to me? How dare it happen to me? I have been a good person. I have never done any harm. This I have always done right by everyone. This cannot happen to me. I refuse to accept this situation. Resistance. How much will you fight it? The more you will fight and put resistance to the situation, the law of physics, however much power you'll put from this side, the equal power will come from the other side. Both are pushing each other. What will happen? Nothing will happen. You're stuck. You're simply stuck. Equal power coming from here, equal power coming from here. You're stuck right there. You have not resolved the situation. Most marriages are like that. One is pushing from this side, other is pushing from this side, and you are stuck. So, accepting gladly means, so both here in resistance, you're both facing each other and pushing, right? In passive acceptance also you were facing each other, but you were getting pushed like this. Your whole attention was always on the problem. I say, accept, yes, this is a problem. First you have to accept it's a problem. You cannot also push it under the carpet. Accept, this is a problem and I am responsible for it. It is my karma. Now I do not have to face the problem by focusing on the problem. Instead of facing, I make a 180 degrees mental turn. I no longer focus on the problem, I focus on the solution. Purusharth. All the energy which was wasted in pushing, in all the energy which was used in resisting, all the energy which was being used in getting pushed, whichever situation you are in, all that energy is now saved. Your focus is no longer on the problem. And when you are no longer focused on the problem, you are focused on the solution. Done. Move. That is going to go on because it's there. No matter what you do, that problem is there. And that problem is there as an opportunity for you to grow. Don't see it as a burden, see it as a blessing. And keep moving ahead. Keep moving upward. Problem, what is it? It's a useless thing. But it has one use only. It will help you to move towards the solution, higher ground. If you're no longer part of the problem, then you have to be a part of the solution, right? It's a cliche, but it's very true. Let it go on, whatever that is, go on. Problem, somebody's creating problem, it's their karma, no? But one thing comes on Facebook and all, I don't like that, okay? They say, such a bad, what do you call it? Meme? What do you call that? Meme. It says, if someone's doing bad, it's their karma, don't do anything, just sit back and enjoy karma taking its toll. Why you want to sit back and enjoy? Why you have to sit back and enjoy somebody else getting some bad karma? And you let it be, no, that person is doing, let them do. Jannat mein, whatever, hell they'll go, heaven they go, wherever they have to go, they'll go. Janum, Jannam, whatever, wherever. Let them go wherever they have to go. They have to find out for themselves where they need to go. You turn around. Turn around. Let it be. Let it be. Let it go. Let go. Let God. How many cliches I will give you all? Okay. All things you all have 100 times heard and 100 times forwarded also. Sometimes people forward such things to me. I think, yeah, I must be. Maybe they think I need all these things. Then I think, but why they are not implementing what they are forwarding to me? Somebody was trying to say something.
So the first step is for me to take responsibility and ownership that this is my doing, and I often find that becomes the most difficult because we feel because of my parents I ended up like this, or because I didn't get that job, or if I had more money I could do this. So we kind of are not able to turn that focus to say
Who is doing
I
all
am
this,
ego.
Your mind. His mind, na chanchal monkey, it will always justify. So that is what Sammadhamma is, no? Take one stick and give one whack. Keep quiet. Enough. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. You really need to give a whack to your mind. Enough. I have followed your nonsense. Enough. You have trained me like a dog on a leash. Enough. You have taken me where you want to take me. Now I am your master. You go where I want you to go. Enough is enough. And you have to speak to your mind. That is part of sadhana. Talk to your mind. The mind is very powerful. It's like one slave driver. You take one thing and give one tamacha to your mind. Keep quiet. Literally you have to tell your mind. Keep quiet. If you want to say it more harshly, say shut up also. Say whatever you want to say, but silence it. No more taking me where you want to go. Now from this moment you go where I want you to go. Where my higher self wants me to go. Where I will be doing my swadharma. Go there. Go into sadhana. Go into aham brahmasmi. Go into tattvamasi. Go where is my hit, not my ahit. Do it. Meenakshi, talk to your mind. Okay? And don't say, I was such a good girl. I didn't do anything wrong. You don't remember your past life. I know you must have been quite bad there. And don't go into that guilt complex also. Because every life you will get higher and higher if you do sadhana. If you don't do, you'll go lower and lower. But if you do, you'll go higher and higher. The fact that you are here now means you have gone higher and higher. Understood? The fact that you are all here means that your deepest desire is to evolve. But you have not yet mastered your senses. Therefore, the progress is not happening so good. Like your destination, you have got into the car. But like Gopal was telling me that his mechanic refuses to repair his car anymore. Today only he told me this. My mechanic says this is the last time I'm repairing your car. After this, I am not going to do any more service. You have to buy a new car. So like that, don't leave it to the last minute till no more repair is possible.
But he can change the mechanic also.
That is why people go from one guru to the other guru. Guru बहुत बोलती है.
मेरी नहीं
तमाचा मारो, ये करो, वो करो.
मेरी नहीं सुनती.
The guru is not saying what I want to hear. Change the guru, change the mechanic. Okay. Last verse, I promise you, number 37.